Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Maneuver Center of Excellence and Fort Benning Change of Command ceremony between Major General Scott Miller and Brigadier General Eric J. Wesley. The reviewing officer for today's ceremony is the Commanding General of the U.S. Army Combined Arms Center at Fort Leavenworth, Kansas, Lieutenant General Robert B. Brown. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for honors. Remain standing for the national anthem and the invocation. Lieutenant General Brown has deferred honors to Major General Miller. Ladies and gentlemen, Chaplain Schaefer, the garrison chaplain, will now offer the invocation.
Let us pray together. God, we thank you for Major General Scott Miller and for the many victories over our nation's enemies, for the advances in training, the best army in the world, and for the care for lives he displayed during his leadership. Let your best blessings rest upon him as he continues to serve this country and smile on him, upon his children. We thank you also for Brigadier General Eric J. Wesley, his wife Cynthia, children Tyler, Austin, and Meredith. Thank you for the proven leadership he brings to this position. Anoint and empower him as our commander to lead the Maneuver Center of Excellence. Finally, I ask you to place your blessing upon the brave, tireless personnel of the Maneuver Center of Excellence, Fort Benning, and our gracious city. In the words of the Bible, give us your shield of victory. Sustain us by your right hand. Provide a path for our feet so that we may maneuver safely. Through all the training, combat, and trials that this command and we undergo, bless and strengthen our families and us, and draw us close to you. This I ask in your holy name. Amen.
Please be seated. This ceremony, steeped in military tradition, serves the dual function of rendering honors to the departing commander and providing official recognition for the transfer of command and responsibility for the soldiers, equipment, and mission of the Maneuver Center of Excellence to the new commander. This transfer is accomplished through the passing of the colors, which are a symbol of the readiness and esprit de corps of the unit. The Soldier of the Year, Specialist Martin, is now presenting a red rose to Major General Miller's family and friends, thanking them for all their support. The NCO of the Year, Staff Sergeant Hall, is presenting a half-dozen yellow roses to Brigadier General Wesley's wife, Cindy. Also receiving roses are his daughter, Meredith, and his mom, Donna Wesley. The yellow rosebuds signify their new experience and a great future with the Maneuver Center of Excellence. The colors represent not only the unit, but also the unity and loyalty of its soldiers. They are the commander's symbol of authority, representing his responsibilities to the organization. The guardian of the colors is the Command Sergeant Major. He is both the spokesman for loyalty and concerns of the soldiers and the principal advisor to the commander. The passing of the colors from the outgoing to the incoming commander is significant in many ways. The transition is symbolic of the transfer of command responsibility to a new leader. At this time, the change of command will be initiated by Command Sergeant Major Timothy Matheny, the Maneuver Center of Excellence Command Sergeant Major. By authority of paragraph 2-5, Army Regulation 600-20, the undersigned assumes command of the Maneuver Center of Excellence in Fort Benning, Georgia, effective 18 March 2016. Signed, Eric J. Wesley, Brigadier General, commanding. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back to Fort Benning the Commanding General of the U.S. Army Combined Arms Center at Fort Leavenworth, Kansas, Lieutenant General Robert B. Brown.
I'll tell you, it's great to be back and to see so many special guests. I've got to admit, when I was passing the guide on, I was going to hold on to it, see if I could just stay. As George Marshall said so many years ago, there's a spirit of Fort Benning, and he was spot on. It's such an amazing place. It's great to see our retired general officers who are so supportive, our civilian aides to the Secretary of the Army, Medal of Honor winner, sir, thank you for being here. Probably the best mayor I've ever worked with in 35 years. Mayor Tomlinson, amazing. I was in Columbus last night, and it just continues to get better and better. It's just unbelievable. And so many of our special friends, Colonel Ralph Puckett, a hero, thank you for being here, sir. I could go on. In fact, if I started recognizing everybody in the audience, we'd be here about an hour doing that, so I'm not going to do it, but I just say it's so great to be back, and we really appreciate this amazing community and your great support for this great leader we're going to recognize today, and then the team that's coming in. I told them how fortunate they are. Again, I've been very fortunate to be a lot of places over 35 years, none better than here. Amazing people, amazing team. So quite an honor to be here today to do this ceremony. You know, I want to recognize the families first, and Scott T. Miller that's here. He's got his sister, Catherine Canty. Thanks for coming to join us. Her husband, Paul Canty, their daughter, Megan, who's also in the National Guard in Virginia, which is pretty awesome, a family of service. And then General Miller's son, Austin, couldn't break out of school. We're going to try to get him to follow-on ceremony that'll be coming up, but he's at James Madison University as an ROTC cadet, already airborne, air assault, and wants to be a Special Forces officer. I don't know where he gets that from. Where's he get that from? And then his daughter, Sarah, is a freshman at Fordham University. She hasn't decided yet her major, but a great school there. And again, I know they're here in spirit. Wish they could be here. It was kind of, as we all know, a little bit last minute moving on to make sure folks are in the right spot for the right commands. And then Team Wesley, welcome Team Wesley here. Eric's a great family. His wife, Cindy, bride, 26 years, pretty awesome. And his mother, Donna, thanks for coming, Donna from Colorado Springs, just terrific. Daughter, Meredith, high school senior, and thanks for being here. And then Tyler, his son, just graduated from University of Colorado Springs, is couldn't be here, but again is here in thought and spirit. And then his son Austin is at Wheaton College, and again wishes he could be here. Just finished his spring break. I guess tough to get another. I'm sure when he was negotiating with the professors for a second spring break, that didn't go over real well, but you try. So thanks for joining us for this special ceremony. It's hard for me to believe it's been 2 years. It goes by so quick since Scott took command, and it's unbelievable. And he was absolutely the right leader to lead our Army at this critical time, a real key inflection point for our Army and our maneuver forces. Lots of stuff going on as we've looked back over the past 16 years of conflict, and we're preparing for the future as we do here at Fort Benning and developing those leaders. And so Scott was the right guy. He assembled a championship team around him. He's a great team builder, no doubt about it. And the amazing things he accomplished in his short time here shows the real power of his leadership, no doubt. Now, most of you will be familiar, right outside the auditorium, you probably saw it in large letters: smart, fast, lethal, and precise. And no question that Scott is known for that key term across the Army. He's known. Everybody knows about smart, fast, lethal, and precise. And it's exactly what our maneuver forces needed in this time, as I mentioned, in some inflection point in history this time. And so I want to use that to sort of look at his accomplishments. First, the smart portion. We know that we want all our maneuver leaders not only to be smart, but to act intelligent in this complex world. They're put in a lot of complex situations, and Scott could not have been a better example of this. He's truly a visionary leader, and that effortlessly builds empowered, high-performing teams focused on people. And people are our advantage, and nowhere do we see that better than here at the Maneuver Center. Those incredible leaders, that's what is our advantage out there in this complex world, no doubt about it. And he really built on that aspect of people and leadership, from our infantry and armored forces to individual rangers and airborne qualified soldiers and the many courses, the master gunners and all those things that are done here at Benning, snipers, I mean, you name it, the tremendous courses that go on every single day, and our the newest soldiers in the Army who are going infantry and armor, happening across the board. So Benning focuses on the core of our people and what they can, what their contribution is to help secure our nation. And Scott's tenure showed his own ability to display he can be agile and adaptive as no one was better positioned by experience and temperament to smartly integrate women into our Ranger course and the whole gender integration across all of our military occupational specialties. What's the standard? One standard. If you can attain it, you can do it. And that's terrific, and it's what our country is all about. And despite national level attention, no one could have done that better and had the credibility, of course, that he brings with his impressive background. So, and it just, when you look across all the echelons of maneuver forces, Scott did an amazing job of integrating our non-commissioned officers, our lieutenants, our captains, and building an infantry and armor force of the future that will win when they're called upon, no doubt about it. And together, with leveraging and supporting the community of Fort Benning and surrounding partners, Scott was a master developing a true team of teams, building those relationships and tools he needed to work smarter and not always harder, smart, the first key part of that. Now, how about fast? Scott not only led the Maneuver Center of Excellence smartly, he drove it at a fast pace, no doubt about it. As I said, it's amazing how quickly the 2 years went. And if you just ask anybody who did any of his morning PT sessions before he got injured, he was definitely fast, no doubt about it. And he's amazingly fit for a man of his age, younger than me, but still. So I did challenge him this morning. If it were basketball, I'd be okay. I'd have no problem. But in running, he always beat me consistently. So I challenged him to a race this morning, and he declined. Go figure. It was my only chance ever to beat him. So anyway, but the drive is one of the key words for Scott. An incredible drive. He's got an energy and a dedication that really keeps pace with his many accomplishments and with the vision for the organization. And you can't help but just feel it. It rubs off on you. and you want to work for him. He's, I mentioned at his award ceremony, not just an incredible warrior, but a great person. And, you know, it really makes you proud to serve with a leader like this. And at a time when we're redefining all our brigade combat teams, we have infantry brigade combat teams, armor brigade combat teams, and striker brigade combat teams. Scott was right in the middle of how they should be organized, how they should fight, and that key, what we call our movement and maneuver concept, that all the other branches, whether it's cyber, intelligence, aviation, artillery, logistics, they all are waiting to see how the maneuver forces are going to handle things so they know what their concepts will look like. So Scott was a driving force behind that, and that was fast-paced, no doubt about it. Now, how about lethal? You know, he instituted some incredible ways that we are going to be more lethal in the future. And that's from the warrior ethos that he really made sure was throughout all the courses to, you know, the ability, that lethality, creating a marksmanship course for expert marksmen, for example, that will really truly rub off on everybody for generations to come. The key, the ability to be a lethal and also, of course, precise. No doubt about that. And with everything else he did, Scott applied this principle to our most important advantage again, our people, these young leaders that are so impressive, and his ability to, as I mentioned, provide that example and that vision will suit us for many, many years to come. And he basically, you know, across the board, instilled the smart, fast, lethal, and precise in our maneuver forces, which is exactly what we need for this complex future. We don't know if tomorrow, you know, North Korea will do something stupid like attack South, and we'd have to respond to that, or dealing with something like a threat of ISIL or any other one out there, or as we've seen in the recent past, like the 101st Airborne Division being called to Africa to deal with stopping the spread of Ebola. So you don't know the complexity of the threat that's out there, but I know one thing, our maneuver leaders will be ready, thanks to Scott. So Scott, well done. Really appreciate your tremendous work. And, you know, as always, it's a sad day because we farewell a great leader, but we welcome a great team, and the Army got it right again, bringing in the right team as we look to replace. How do you replace a Scott Miller? Well, you bring in the Wesleys, and a tremendous team. And as I mentioned, you know, Eric and Cindy have been, he's been a soldier 30 years with incredible combat experience, and Cindy by his side 26 of those years. Just coming, you'll notice Eric will be smiling quite a bit here because he's just coming from the Pentagon. It's a little bit like getting out of Leavenworth jail or something, you know. I'm just saying, I'd see Scott in the halls of the Pentagon all the time, and we both were always happy because our badges said visitor. And then all our buddies would be mad at us. They're like, you don't have to stay here, and it's not a fun place to be. And I hope nobody's recording this so they don't then send me there next. So, but anyway, Eric is very happy he's not there anymore. Before that, he was at 1st Infantry Division, worked with him quite a bit. He was Deputy Commanding General of Support at 1st Infantry Division, an amazing leader. He's got multiple tours in Iraq and Afghanistan. He's known as another team builder. Just an incredible background and a proven leader at all levels. And he's led maneuver forces all over the world. And he's planned incredibly complex operations. And so he is again, the perfect leader. And he knows just how important it is for us to offer the very best training, concepts, and education to our soldiers so they can excel and achieve any mission called upon in an increasingly complex environment. I had the privilege of working with Eric last summer on the Chief of Staff's transition team, and I saw him there. Just not only is he a warrior, but he's incredibly smart and just amazing leader. So we're very lucky. And again, how do you fill the void left? Well, you bring in another superstar, and that's what's been done here. So really excited to have Eric and Cindy join the team, and I'm certain they'll usher in a new exciting chapter here at Fort Benning and continue that great effort that Scott started and build on it, and it just keeps getting better, which is so important for the future. So thanks again to Scott Miller for his hard work, dedication, and commitment to our great soldiers. There are bright things ahead for Scott, I'm certain, a promotion other challenging assignments where our nation needs his expertise. And then, welcome to the new team, Eric, Cindy, and the whole family. And I'm certain you will continue to move this great organization forward. I'm also certain you're going to love this incredible community, because it's not just, I talked about this spirit of Fort Benning, it's the whole area. In Columbus, and this area is just unbelievable people, and you're going to enjoy every second of it, I'm absolutely certain. So again, thanks for joining us today. Really appreciate it. Makes it a special event. Army strong.
Ladies and gentlemen, Major General Scott Miller.
All right, we'll see. Test. How we guys got me back there? All right, I'm going to get a little dangerous here because I know I'm being recorded over here. But I think I'll free mic my comments here and have a conversation with you about Fort Benning. But I think before I start, obviously I'm a little bit handicapped here today, and I, moving slow, and General Brown's making fun of me for my inability to beat him in a race. But I want to tell you a quick story. All right, so I'm a graduate from the United States Military Academy, and as we know, our commissioning sources are United States Military Academy, ROTC, and OCS. Well, just so happens today you have 3 Military Academy graduates sitting up here on the stage. Of course, the Sergeant Major is also a great graduate, just not that Military Academy. Make sure I get that right. So when you're at West Point, we do this thing called parades, and the public absolutely loves parades, loves them. The dirty secret is cadets hate them, and cadets do everything in their power. They pray to this Norse god named Odin, and they ask for foul weather, anything to just derail the parade, anything. And I was wondering how many of those prayers were out there floating around the day I hurt my foot, because I said, we're not doing a parade. Now here's another little secret too. So I have obviously a couple bosses, General Brown, General Mangum. Those of you remember General Mangum officiated our ceremony in July of 14. And of course, General Perkins, and the schedules are out there. And here's the other secret. I'm really, really terrible at drill and ceremony, which my NCOs know that very much. They know it. I played sports at West Point, so I missed a lot of the parades, but I'm just not good at drill and ceremony. And if you recall, those of you who were there, you remember H.R. McMaster and Kevin Mangum trooping the line. I've been in a cold sweat ever since thinking about how I'd get out of trooping that line, because I didn't think I was ever going to get in step as I started stepping off there. So I've been thinking about that. But here's the other secret. General Brown's not really much better at drill and ceremony either. So he played a sport as well. He played basketball, and I didn't. But now I come to find out Eric also missed a lot of parades with his extracurricular activities too. So, between the Norse gods out there, a little bit of foul weather here today, we find ourselves indoors, and the gentlemen in my rear are the ones that are working it hard with knees straightened out here. So I'll try to keep my comments a little bit abbreviated here. First and foremost, I look around here, and I just want to welcome all of our distinguished guests. I know Ambassador Daly's in the audience here. A good friend of mine, but former Chief of Defense, General retired Eduardo Mendoza, Chief of Defense of country of El Salvador. We served together as lieutenants many, many years ago. He's back here visiting Columbus. Obviously, General Wetzel's in the audience. General Fields, great to see you as well. Other general officers, I have to highlight Benny Atkins, because I saw you come up late, Benny, and won our Medal of Honor winner, but also not only a great friend to Fort Benning, Georgia, but a great personal friend. Marianne, thank you, and your dad for coming over today. It means an awful lot here. So lots of guests here. Gold Star families as well. Thank you for being here. I don't know where you're seated, but I just want to tell you thank you as well. And then lastly, over to General Brown. I told him I was going to pick on him a little bit. He said, don't worry, I'm going to pick on you a little bit in the ceremony. So I picked on him for the drill and ceremony piece, but in reality, sir, thank you for your magnificent leadership, certainly in your present job, And I know the Army has great things for you in the future as well. And I think it's representative of Fort Benning. It means just a lot to them because they're such a great commander here to watch you depart and go on to great things. Now what I want to talk to you about, I get asked quite routinely. I said, what do you think about, Miller, what are you doing at Fort Benning? What do you like about Fort Benning? And, what's it like? And so what I tell people is, I said, first and foremost, I said, I really, really like the idea of Fort Benning, Georgia. The idea. And we have wonderful, and some of them are represented here, we have wonderful operational units that reside on Fort Benning. But when you get right down to it, most people that come through Fort Benning for the first time, if you're wearing a military uniform, you come through for what I'm about to talk about. The idea is we can mess up every single future idea. General Brown mentioned the movement maneuver concept. We can tube that. We can make so many mistakes in that, but what we cannot get wrong, we cannot get wrong the training of our soldiers, our sergeants, our lieutenants, our captains, to a lesser degree, but they come through here as well, our lieutenant colonels and our colonels that are going into command. Because we mess up the future, we get them right, they'll take care of the future. We've talked about a complex world, lack of stability. I think many of us look out here and they say the world is a very unstable place, maybe more unstable than we can remember in recent history. I'll tell you, it's those soldiers, those sergeants, those lieutenants, those captains, those battalion level and those brigade level commanders, their command sergeants, majors, they will sort it out. They will get it right. So what do I like about Fort Benning? Aside from having a sore foot here, I actually like going to Peden Field. Usually it's, either very cold or very hot. It's never perfect. It's dark. You have a set of floodlights that are set on there. And I like watching young leaders work their way through a physical challenge. And then I like watching as you have people that are scheduled to be over there and people keep piling on, and you're watching our future force improve itself. But the part I really like, what'll happen about twice, we'll see it every once in a while, across the street from there is the 75th Ranger Regiment. The Ranger Regiment will bring their privates, maybe young enlisted, and they're going through a Ranger and Assessment Selection Program, RASP. They'll bring them over and they'll get in the mix, and they'll start running around the track. And you realize with some pride, these are the same guys that just came from Harmony Church and Sand Hill, and now you're watching them take it to another level. I like that. That's my idea of what I like at Fort Benning. Going out to a Ranger physical assessment. Go out there, you see, of course, young soldiers. Some are not quite so young, but they're going through they've signed up to go through what will be the most physically demanding course in their military career. Most physically demanding. And you're going out there to kind of watch and see how they'll do. And then if it's really, really cold, it's always dark, out in the mist, you'll see Colonel Ralph Puckett come walking out, 03:30 in the morning. You'll see other senior retired sergeants majors come walking out, and they're out there to motivate and inspire these young soldiers. And they're out there every time. I like that about Fort Benning. Going out to Hastings Range. Go out to Hastings Range and you watch an M1 tank shooting live rounds. For those of you that do not understand the power of the maneuver force, all you have to do is stand near or even get inside the tank. Watch the power of the maneuver force displayed as you watch that weapon system work. I like walking around the hallways of McGinnis Wickham Hall, and I'm very proud that someone before me decided that we were going to honor all those fallen. And you can walk and read the history of those service members that have passed through this schoolhouse and have paid the ultimate sacrifice. And you can read a little bit about them. I like the fact that on holiday block leave, we actually do shut down. But some of our soldiers don't go home. They stay here for whatever reason. Financial, came from a different family background. They don't go home. But what does happen is this community, Columbus, outside the gates, they embrace him. And these soldiers experience a Christmas holiday probably like they never have experienced before out of the goodness and graciousness of those outside of these gates. What I've said is, as you came onto the gates, and some of you come on routinely, some of you are visiting today, you were told, welcome home. I've talked to the mayor and others. I said, you probably ought to have a civilian on the other side of the gate as we're going out saying, welcome home, as soon as we walk out the gate as well. It's that kind of community. So I've missed many thank yous here. You know, I'm indebted to many. The accolades that were, given to me by General Brown, they're not mine. They're all here. My thanks to my family, my friends, anybody who took the time out of the day to come here, and a special thanks to the Wesley family. Cindy, Meredith, Don, I'm really glad you could make it as well. I really like your husband, your father, your son. And what I've said is he's a war fighter. He's a consummate professional. He can operate from the tactical to strategical, and not everybody can do that. He can think big and make sure soldiers understand it. Ladies and gentlemen, Fort Benning, you're in better hands, and you're going to get better. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Commanding General of the Maneuver Center of Excellence, Brigadier General Eric J. Wesley.
Well, good morning. This is an amazing day. What a difference a week makes, if you know the timeline of the last week. You know, I feel bad. I was just listening to General Miller's story about parades, and I should have talked to him. Sir, if you'd known you wanted to cancel the parade, we could have talked about it. I'm sorry you had to bust your foot for that. And to General Brown's comment, it is true. I just got out of the Pentagon. In fact, I just turned in my stripes yesterday, new uniform, had my first hot meal at the Newman's house the other night. So it's great to be out of the Pentagon and down here at Fort Benning. Thank you for being so agile and on short notice coming out here, and the formation was able to put this together, and we are very grateful. Before I begin, I wanted to just do some introductions. I know that there are many questions out there, those who are in the audience, and those in the formation are saying, who's the new guy, and what's he about? Well, my name is Eric Wesley, and I'm a combined arms maneuver soldier. Smart, fast, lethal, and precise. So, sir, if you're wondering if that had legs, you got your answer. Most of you know that the Army announced this change of command just this past Tuesday, and here we are on Friday, and you have a new commander. So no one can say that one of our core competencies is not fast. And I'll tell you who else is fast. We have some great family and friends here. I think many of you have met Cindy and Meredith, and if you haven't, I hope you do. But I also want to introduce just a few. My mom from Colorado Springs. I'm grateful you're here. I wish my father could be here, but you continue to courageously represent that union that you mentored me with. So thanks for being here, Mom. My first Command Sergeant Major is here. Command Sergeant Major retired Carlos Allers and his dear bride, Ingrid. Dear friends from Florida. We became intimate friends immediately upon joining the same team back at Fort Riley in 2004, and we're grateful for them being here. And on that same team was Colonel Andy Boston. He's from Fort Bragg. He's commander of SATMO, and he drove down for the day. And Andy, I'm grateful for you to be here. My brother-in-law, Jim, who was with me the day I met my wife. Thanks for being here. Chaplain Jason Palmer is in the audience with his family, a warrior chaplain. If you ever want a warrior chaplain, you call on Chaplain Jason Palmer. And Command Sergeant Major Smith, former Spartan 7. So if you're a Spartan from the Marne Division, find Sergeant Major Smith, he's here. But we thank you for coming here to support this institution. I'm going to have a few brief comments, and I hope you'll bear with me. The incoming guy's not supposed to talk too much, but I'm kind of excited, and I just got to share some ideas with you. But I'll try to keep it as brief as possible. The first is I want you to know that it's just a great honor to be in command, and I know, and I think many of you do, know the sacred nature of command. And I'm sure we'll have the opportunity to talk to captains and lieutenant colonels and colonels about this topic, but I want you to know that I know the solemn commitment that that entails. But it's not just an honor to command, it's also for Cindy and I a great, great privilege for both of us to join this team. Because this team is special. And I'd like to take a moment to share with you our perspective as we come down here and why we think that you are so special. So follow me in this if you would. Many would tell you, I was talking to the media this morning about this, many would tell you that our nation is in the interwar years. History tells us, precedent tells us, that there will be another war. And when that war comes, the Department of Defense, DoD, will be at the center of gravity of any solution to that war. And the center of gravity of DoD is what? For the United States Army, because we know that the Army fights and wins our nation's war. And taking it a step further, what about the Army? What's the center of gravity in the Army but the combat arms of infantry and armor? It's all the others, candidly, that provide the combined arms to enable the infantry and the armor to get to a position of advantage to compel our adversary. What's at the center of gravity of infantry and armor? Well, it's the maneuver center of excellence. So you got this picture of this future war that I just described, and what you need to know is that for this future war, at the center of the gravity of our nation is a group of people who are currently, quietly, diligently, and professionally preparing our nation for the next war. And it's this place, and it's you. It's this team that provides the intellectual foundation for the complexity of maneuver. It's this team that develops our combat platforms of the future. It's this team that develops the leaders that we'll read about in the next war. And most importantly, it's this team that trains the soldiers whose names we don't even know yet, who will be heroes in the next war. So you got my point, and that is that this team is special. And both Cindy and I want you to know that we are proud to serve alongside each and every one of you as you diligently and professionally go about that which I just described. My second point, Cindy and I are equally excited to be part of this community, this Columbus community, and this greater Georgia community. Most of you don't know Cindy and I, maybe a little bit, but I want you to know that we know you. Your reputation and your legacy, as I said the other night at the Newman's home, extends well beyond the state of Georgia. I can't tell you the number of people who have come to me and said that your organization will be exponentially better because of the relationship of the people that you have in the Columbus community. So we are excited to be members of your community. So I'm going to stop here, but I'm going to make one final point, and I want to honor Major General Miller. Sir, I've seen a lot of changes of command, as you have, incoming commanders, outgoing commanders, and I frankly drew the lottery. You are a gentleman, you are gracious, you're humble, but you're also a phenomenal freaking warrior, and so I respect the heck out of you. You have big shoes to fill, and that's not a boot joke. So I have big shoes to fill, and I know that. Thank you for bringing me in the way you have. Sorry for going so long, but I just wanted to share that with you. With that, I'm going to wrap it up. I'm Eric Wesley, and I'm a combined arms maneuver soldier. One force, one fight.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the playing and singing of the Army song. The words can be found in your program. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the change of command ceremony. On behalf of Brigadier General and Mrs. Wesley, thank you for attending today's ceremony. One force, one fight, Army strong.